who was beloved in his hometown of Houston, served his hometown in the state legislature as mayor, and over the last few months as a member of Congress. And he was a champion for all that we stand here today to protect. So I thought it appropriate that we just begin with a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Last night, Donald Trump delivered one of the most divisive speeches made by a president in American history. Republicans aren't trying to bring the country together. They are tearing us apart. Republicans aren't trying to move America forward. They want to turn back the clock. Republicans aren't interested in improving the economy or making life better for everyday Americans. They want to enact the largest cut to Medicaid in American history and are hurting our veterans. Far-right extremists are desperately trying to jam their reckless budget down the throats of the American people. They want us to step back. House Democrats will continue to fight back. We're going to fight back in the Congress, in the courts, in the community, in urban America, in rural America, suburban America, small town America, the heartland of America. We're going to push back aggressively against Donald Trump, his administration, and the extreme MAGA Republican agenda until we can end this national nightmare and bring the American dream to life for every single person in this country. That's our North Star, and it will continue to be our focus. And we must always stand up for our veterans, those who have worn the uniform to protect and serve our great country. They've been there for us, sacrificed for us, shown courage and extraordinary bravery for us. We should always stand with them. Thousands of veterans across the country have been hurt by the extreme actions of Donald Trump, the Trump administration, Elon Musk, and MAGA Republicans. That's unacceptable. It's unconscionable. It's un-American. And there are several veterans here today to tell their stories to the American people about what is happening and the fact that veterans all across this great country are being harmed. Our promise to veterans in this country is that we will always stand with you. We will love and cherish you, and we will fight to make sure that every single veteran in this country is treated with the dignity and respect that you deserve. It's now my honor to yield to our distinguished whip, Katherine Clark.
Thank you. Thank you, Leader. We heard a lot of things in the 100-minute presidential address last night. Not one thing about helping veterans. 100 minutes, not one thing about helping our veterans. Instead, we heard the double down on the same corrupt agenda. Help the rich get richer. And to pay for tax cuts for the richest man on earth, the GOP is throwing our veterans under the bus, raising their prices, cutting their health care, destroying their livelihoods. 6 weeks into this administration, they have fired 6,000 veterans without cause. They're getting ready to fire 83,000 VA employees. They're cutting SNAP benefits that feed more than 1 million veterans. The Medicaid coverage is being cut that covers 3 million military families, and Social Security checks that support nearly 8 million veterans. They're selling out our veterans to enrich billionaires, and they're insulting them as they do it. Before the speech last night, one of Trump's top advisors was asked specifically about all the veterans they had fired. She said, quote, "They're not fit to have a job." There is nobody more fit than a patriot who has voluntarily put on a uniform, who has exposed themselves to injury, to death, to illness, who has chosen to make those sacrifices to defend us, to defend our country, our democracy. Democrats are here to say in unison, we will not allow our veterans to be defined as government waste. And we are privileged to be joined by 3 heroes who have served our country in uniform. 3 patriots who are watching the Republican Party and the President of the United States turn their backs on them. First, we will hear from Chris Wicker, a proud Air Force veteran and a small business owner who was senselessly fired from the SBA. Chris? Where's Chris? There he is. Chris, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am. Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Wicker. I am an Air Force veteran, a former small business owner. I am from Minnesota, a constituent of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. And in July of 2024, I landed the job of a lifetime for me. I was the Deputy Director for the Minnesota District Office of the U.S. Small Business Administration. Now, I joined the Air Force straight out of high school, where I spent 6 years on active duty as an intelligence analyst. I spent almost 10 years in national security, and in a tent in Kabul, Afghanistan, I used the SBA's resources to write a business plan for a cleaning company to start a different life. The SBA helped me get my cleaning business off the ground. My dream was to one day help people start and run their own business, and I have been very passionate about this work. So, for the better part of 8 months, I have supported others at the agency that helped me when I came home from Afghanistan. I know what it's like to be a veteran, feeling like there aren't a lot of options in the world for us. I became a resource to help those people. Until last month, when I received an email saying that I was fired because of my performance. That is a lie. My termination was not based on performance, and I am now one of tens of thousands of federal workers wrongly terminated. I am here to speak up on behalf of all federal workers who are being treated like garbage and who are feeling scapegoated, rightfully so. I am here to speak up for the people who lost their jobs wrapped up in a lie that their performance was inadequate. These are the folks that put life into our cities, and they make it worth living in them, cities like Minneapolis, every single day. These people, my people, walk past the American flag and pledge allegiance to it every day as they serve their communities. They are good Americans, and I am a veteran. I know what a loyal patriot looks like. And every single one of those people deserves the gratitude of a thankful nation and not the demonization and criticism that they have been getting. This is unacceptable, and it must end. I thank the members, seriously. I thank the members, especially Congresswoman Omar. Thank you. All of the advocates who have gathered here today and to help me push back. We will not stop elevating the stories of those who have been impacted. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm small. Hello, my name is Louise. I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania called Tobyhanna. I'm sure many of you have children. I myself have 4 boys. They are 3, 12, 13, and 15. I served as a United States Navy Seabee for 3 years. I'm here today to urge Congress to put families first and prevent dangerous cuts to the programs that families like mine rely heavily upon. After I left the Navy, I struggled to find full-time work. I felt abandoned by my country, the one that I had worked so hard to serve. In the Navy, they don't teach you how to live life as a civilian. And I don't know how to keep me and my children afloat without these programs. During the difficult times that I have lived through, Medicaid, SNAP, and WIC were my lifelines. I needed these, and I still do. I don't understand why Republicans are trying to destroy these programs. These programs allow parents like me to take my kids to the doctor when they're sick and put food on my table. These same programs enable millions of veterans who don't qualify for services through the Veterans Administration to obtain medical care. My grocery bills keep going up. 2 years ago, when my infant son was born, a carton of eggs was $3. Now in my town, it's almost $8. If I lose SNAP, I won't be able to feed my family. If I lose Medicaid, my children won't be able to see a doctor when they're sick. Republicans want to take health care and food away from people like me, veterans and working parents, so they can give handouts to millionaires and billionaires. It's unacceptable that they'll let the people who serve this country suffer. Take it from me. Right now, it's not just us veterans, but all of us that suffer. Every day, veterans are suffering at the hands of the people that we fought to protect. And if the Republicans, those same people that we protected, get their way, it's going to hurt families like yours and like mine. It's time for all of America to stand together with us, the proud veterans of the United States military, and fight for our right to live and thrive in this country that we fought so hard to protect. With that in mind, I'd like to introduce my fellow brother in arms, Eric Rodriguez. Thank you.
Thank you. A little emotional for me. So, I'm Eric Rodriguez. I'm a disabled Iraq war veteran. A VA worker, a proud SEIU union steward representing Illinois. I proudly serve my country, and now I proudly serve my fellow veterans. But right now, the Trump administration is trying to cut the VA, frontline workers, and let billionaires steal our health care. Veterans, we're under attack. Last week, 1,400 workers got fired illegally. 22 of them were my colleagues at Hines VA Hospital. Some of them didn't even get a real notice. All they got was this, an email with X's where the date should be and no name. That's how little they think of people and our veterans in this country and that serve our country. They're slashing staff, crushing unions, and selling out the VA for what? So billionaires can make more money while veterans sit on wait lists. Worse, they'll get no treatment. Our president was asleep while Musk was at the wheel. Do you know what happens to a service member when they fall asleep when they're on duty? Veterans don't trust him. He's not one of us. We're not about to sit back and take the SEIU. We're fighting back. We're organizing and we're taking action. We're not going to back down. On the south side of Chicago, we stand on business. It's time for you to do the same. We've done our duty. Now we're asking the administration and Republicans to do theirs. We serve this country. We know how to take it. Take the fight to them and we know how to win. Thank you. I would. Thank you. At this time, I would like to pass it over to Vice Chair Lou, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you to Leader Jeffries for his leadership. I wanted to recognize some of the members on this stage. We're joined today by the ranking member of our Veterans Committee, Mark Takano, as well as Democrats who are veterans, Bobby Scott, Salud Carvajal. Salud Carvajal. Yeah. He's a Marine, so I have to do it twice. And Mike Thompson. All right. So last night, Donald Trump lied to you. He promised a golden age, and the facts show we're entering a Trump slump. Inflation has increased, consumer sentiment is down. The Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta has now projected that our economy is going to contract. It's literally going to get smaller this quarter. And the chaotic actions of the Trump administration, enabled by House Republicans, are not harming our country, they're also harming our veterans. 1 in 4 federal employees are veterans. So when the Trump administration indiscriminately, in many cases brazenly, illegally fires federal employees, that has a disproportionate effect on our nation's veterans. No wonder, as Whip Clark mentioned, nowhere did Donald Trump mention veterans issues last night. House Republicans are also harming our nation's veterans. The radical budget that they just passed with $880 billion of cuts to Medicaid harms our veterans because 1 in 10 of our veterans get coverage through Medicaid. And I want to thank today our veterans, Chris, Louise, and Eric, for sharing their powerful stories. And I'm going to conclude on this story. I met Eileen, a veteran, yesterday. She served in the U.S. Air Force. She then went to work at FEMA in Alabama, the same state where I started my active duty training in the Air Force. She was one of the first volunteers to go to Hurricane Helene. She has 2 kids, ages 4 and 10. And on President's Day, she got an email similar to what Eric got that said she was fired. No notice, no severance pay. She couldn't even go back to her office. A few days later, she had to walk into the middle of a field in the snow and her supervisor to come out and give her office items in a box. That is not how we should treat our nation's veterans. It's not how we should treat our federal employees, and it's not how we should treat any American. The actions of the Trump administration are shameful, immoral, and they are completely hurtful to veterans. That's why, under leadership of Hakeem Jeffries and all the Democratic members here in this room, we are fighting back and we will prevail. It's now my honor to introduce our amazing caucus chair, Pete Aguilar.
I want to thank Ted Lieu, Vice Chair of the Democratic Caucus, for his service to the country wearing a uniform or here in the halls of Congress. House Democrats are focused on the American people who are being harmed by this Republican budget, which slashes Medicaid to help pay for tax cuts for billionaires. That hurts the VA healthcare system. An Air Force veteran who continued his life in public service as a deputy director of the SBA that gets caught up in the chaos and the dysfunction of Elon Musk's crusade to line his pockets with even more taxpayer dollars. Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing your story. A Navy veteran and mother of 4 who relies on SNAP and Medicaid to put food on her table and to keep her children healthy, who Republican Rob Bresnahan of Pennsylvania's 8th Congressional District betrayed by voting to take away her health care. Thank you, Louise. And to Eric, an Army veteran and a frontline worker at the VA hospital, we want to tell you, we will not get distracted by the lies that you heard last night. We are going to keep the focus on where it deserves and to focus on what the president does, not what he says. These stories are happening all over the country, and sadly, it's only going to get worse. It didn't have to be this way, but Trump and House Republicans refuse to prioritize the needs of everyday Americans. The American people were told that this version of the president would be different. We were told that this version of the president would bring down prices on day one. Instead, prices are going up. The economy is in a free fall, and Trump's reckless tariffs are going to make it worse. Their only focus is on passing massive tax giveaways for corporations and billionaires. We were told that this version of President Trump could be trusted to lead our country at a perilous time in our history. We were lied to, and we will hold accountable the people who perpetrated this lie on our constituents and the American people. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate that's it. Thank you. You did great.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I come from a family of three brothers. There are four brothers. So you're an amazing mom. That's great.
Thanks. My little one's actually out in the hall.
Is he? Oh,
I couldn't get a babysitter, so Mary's taking care of her.
yes.